I'm Sean Holley. I used to coach the Ospreys and a few of these boys, so I'll be Q&Ing them here. We've got former Saracens, Cardiff Blues, Wales and British Lions. Tom Shanklin is here. We've got Scarlet's legend, former Clermont in France, series player of the match in 2013 in Australia for the Lions, Centurion for Wales, Jonathan Davies. And we got former fullback of Cleckley and Scarlets, Ospreys 92 times, Clermont, Wales and the Lions, Byrne. Boys, welcome. Sunny day here in Cardiff. Tom, I'll come to you first. You and I just come back from the Lions. Maybe John, were you out there as well? 3.5, 4 weeks out in the rain in Australia. But the Lions got a series win. How important is that for Lions official stuff?
Oh, well, the most important thing is I put on a stone over in Australia for 2 weeks, but I got rid of it, as you can probably tell. Look, it was amazing that the Lions got a series victory, because it could have been so close. I think we were one breakdown away from potentially losing that series, but you know, I think Australia, without Skelton, without Valentini, are a different team. You know, and luckily for the first test, they weren't involved. And Jack Morgan coming on and having some key moments in that second test. The only Welsh player that was there, so it was amazing when he came on. The crowd absolutely erupted because there were so many Welsh there. And I was just pleased that we beat them, because it could have gone very different. And credit to Andy Farrell and his coaching setup, because I think people underestimated actually how tough those tests were. So well done the Lions.
Yeah, that's right. Well said, Tom. At the end of the day, it's a Lions series win. You know more than most, you know, what it takes to win. A lot of people down there were criticising the Australian team, but actually they beat South Africa on South African soil 2 weeks ago, run them really close yesterday as well. So a win's a win, yeah?
Oh, definitely. I think eyebrows were raised when Australia beat South Africa last week, and I think it just puts more credit to the Lions and what they achieved. The hardest thing about a Lions tour is bringing 4 nations together with 5 weeks of prep before playing a test series, which in rugby isn't a lot of time, and those boys seem to, you know, be getting better and better, and they give a great account themselves. And like Shank said, you know, Jack Morgan really threw the flag for us here in Wales, and you know, I think any series victory is worth its weight in gold, because they don't come around that often.
Very unusual, Bernie, not to have, you know, so many Welsh players in a Lions team. You think back to 2013 where Foxy played. I think we had 10 in the last test, starting the last test. But who impressed for the Lions for you, apart from Jack Morgan? In your position, Hugo Keenan got the vital try in the second test. Who stood out for you for the Lions?
Yeah, I think, you know, we talk about Jack Morgan not getting selected, but you've got to look at Curry and what he done. I think the selection from Farrell was spot on. Raised a few eyebrows, like Foxy said, not getting Jack starting, because he played amazing all trip, but Curry came in. I thought he'd done amazing as well. So for me it was Curry. Yeah, and I think Keenan played well. I think like you talked about as well, the tour to Australia, you can always get complacent thinking, oh, it's going to be a series win. You go to South Africa, you're like, oh, I'm not sure if we're going to get a win out there. New Zealand's tough. But Australia showed last week, like you said, against South Africa, that they are a great team. So for me it was great tour win.
The biggest disappointment was Thomas Williams. You know, he injured himself in the first game, because I think he could have really challenged for a test spot, because Jameson Gibson Park, I think, was going in as number 1, but probably had quite a quiet tour by his standards, and I think Thomas could have really forced himself into, he would have been in the match 23, but for his starting berth as well. So I was gutted, really gutted for him. Did it in scoring a try, pulled his hamstring, and then it was just down to Jack. But at least we had some representative there.
We did, and he made a bit of noise out there in that second test in the last minute. Jonathan, tell everybody here who won't understand just what it's like to be selected as a British and Irish line. What's the process? Because you don't find out, do you? You know, find out like much the rest of us, Sky Sports. What's it like? What's the feeling?
It's nerve-wracking. I think, you know, you sat there as a squad in training, and like you said, you're watching Sky Sports News and just hoping that you've done enough to select, to be up for selection. But no, it's one of the greatest honours to play for the Lions, and you know, when you see your face up there on the TV, you're very grateful for like the work that's gone in from your coaches, the support from your family. It's a real special moment, and to experience it, you feel very fortunate. And you know, it's like I said, one of rugby's highlights. Yeah, I got to say that.
Lee, I want to talk roommates on Lions tours. One of your heroes coming through was Brian O'Driscoll. Did you get a chance to be his roommate in South Africa in '09, and did he live up to expectations?
No, it was quite strange actually. In 2001, when he scored that try against Australia, I was watching him in my local rugby club, thinking, wow, you know, what an amazing player. And 7 years later, I was sharing a room with him. I never thought I was going to get there that time, you know, when I was outside having a few cans with my mates watching that game. I weren't professional. Brian O'Driscoll was already on.
Were you 12, were you?
Yeah. Brian O'Driscoll was already, you know, a household name, so I never thought I'd actually get there. And then obviously my name got called up with the hat. Who was I with? Sharing with Brian O'Driscoll. So I was carrying his bags to the room. Cup of tea, Bri. Anything you want, Bri. Not anything, but yeah, no, he was he was top bloke, and I won't get into the details of it, but because kids here, but. Yeah, no, I think, like I said, Lions tours live up to expectations. You know, you make friends on there, friends for life. I think, you know, some of the players now, you see them and it's like you haven't been away. So, yeah, it's a huge honour.
One of the best roommates for me was Gavin Henson. Do you all remember Gavin Henson? What a legend. But honestly, the first time I ever roomed with him, he got up in the morning and I thought he'd done something disgusting in the bed. But then when I took a closer look, I realised it was all a fake tan that was coming off his body. Lee shared with him a fair bit as well. There's a lovely colour on him today.
Shanks tried to put some fake tan on as well. Again, it's a bit streaky for my liking.
I think it wouldn't suit you.
But he was incredible, Gavin. Like, you know, he wanted to. If he looked good, he played good. So we just left him to it. He left him do his hair, left him shave his whole body, let him moisturise, let him put tan on. And then if he looked good and he felt he looked good, then he'd go out and do the business, and he did.
I don't know if you ever noticed it with Gavin. I coached Gavin for a long time. He always wore long sleeves, and he would fasten them right down to his hands because he thought he had ugly wrists. That's the truth. Am I right? And he used to get a kit band to cut the bottom half of a pair of shorts and sew them onto his playing shorts because he didn't think his legs looked big enough. Now, he had lush legs, Gav, didn't he? Yeah, he was a monster. And talking to Gav, that 05, Tom, the Grand Slam, that kick, Gav was pretty insatiable around that time.
Yeah, it was. So that was the England game. We hammered them 11-9, the first game in the opening Six Nations game. And it was huge for Gavin because he'd announced himself slightly onto the world scene, but yet to really deliver. And that kick was huge. And obviously we went on to win a Grand Slam. You don't need to know about that, you know, don't you? But, you know, all the way through that tournament, he was good. You know, that was probably his best game. But then you look at some of the instances he had in other games were absolutely huge. And, you know, we're just fortunate to play with him. But I still think that he could have been better than he was. And it's a bit of a shame, really, because when he peaked, he was one of the best players in the world. But we probably didn't see it often enough.
You remember the Poland camp when he, I think it was 3 months out before a World Cup. And, you know, he'd never gone to a World Cup, Gav. He should have. Like Tom said, he could have been, you know, one of Wales's best players ever. And 3 months out into a World Cup, we were in the hardest camps. You know, John, you've been there. I think, Shanks, you were in Poland, training 3 times a day. You know, boys are on their ass. They just basically want to go home. And 2 weeks into the camp, we just heard somebody wheeling a case down the stairs. We turned round, it's Gav, wheeling straight through the breakfast room. Everyone's dying. He said, right boys, I'm off to the Bachelor, a dating show, halfway through a World Cup camp. But the thing is, Gatland still picked him then, and then he broke his arm. Did he hold something up?
Never played in a World Cup, Gav. Sadly, you're right, Tom. Never fulfilled his true potential. Let's finish on the Lions with this, Foxy. 40,000 Lions fans down in Australia. They reckon they injected nearly 500 million Aussie dollars into the economy. And you're right, Tom. Nearly half of them were Welsh. Just a word on fans, for those who haven't been on a Lions tour, what it means to the players and the Red Army that's out there.
Oh, it's just after the games, you know, after you do a lap with the boys, you could just see all the flags, Welsh flags, the clubs. You recognise clubs that are close to you, and you pick out people that you know. And it's. I feel sorry for the boys who did the Lions tour in 2021, who didn't get to experience that, because that is one of the best parts. Because as rugby players, you want to play in front of big crowds, great atmospheres, and when you go away, you just see the amount of people that have invested their hard-earned cash to go and support you. It's massive, and it gives you a real buzz and picks us up in tough games. And you know, 40,000, that's an incredible amount of support. And I'm sure for 4 years' time they're going to try and increase that again, and it's great to do. And as Shank said earlier, he put on a stone. I imagine that was mainly alcohol and food, just watching rugby, was it?
Yeah, a lot of pale ale, a lot of Guinness, and a lot of meat. But it's survival of the fittest. But I went as a fan this year, and it was incredible. You're right, Foxy. Like, you're just bumping into people like you've never met, people that you've seen maybe 10 years ago. And it's one of those sports that you wouldn't get it in any other sport. Like, I don't think you'd get it in football, but you get it in rugby because of a relationship, because of what it means to people, all supporting one team from 4 different nations. It was incredible.
I think for me, in 2009 when I got selected, you're so in the moment and thinking about the game, and okay, the fans are there and they're brilliant, and you guys keep us going. But it wasn't really till 2014 when I went as a non-player, working for Gulliver's tour, that I pinched myself on and thinking, wow, I've been a Lion, because I'm out there with all the fans and what it means to them and all the money they saved up, you guys. No, it's brilliant, in fairness.
And don't forget, the country that hosts the Lions, they have to wait 12 years for the Lions to come back, so they're pretty keen to have them as well. Look, let's park the Lions for a moment, gents. We'll talk Welsh rugby, but we're not going to talk politics just yet. One name that's been in the news quite a lot, Tom, very recently, Lewis Rees-Zammit. He's back. Yeah, old Zamo, whatever you want to call him, is back, but he's gone to Bristol Bears. Right choice, and good to have him back.
Look, it's the right